Good afternoon. Welcome in Nice for the 10th edition of the Sustainable Places Conference. Sorry to be a bit late. We are just starting. So my name is Sophie Dourlens-Quaranta. I'm working for R2M Solution. We are the organizers of this conference. I'm going to introduce very quickly the program, and then I will give the floor to the speakers. So in the bag that you have received together with your badge, you have this overview of the program. So for those that are staying with us during the full conference, it will last until Friday. So today, as you know, we are in this wonderful room in the Centre Universitaire Méditerranéen. We will be there also tomorrow. And the last 2 days of the conference, we will be at the University Côte d'Azur, the IAE. So don't make the mistake to come here on the third day. Tomorrow, for those that are staying with us, we'll have lunch at La Vela, which is just in front. We will just have to cross Promenade des Anglais, and we will be there for lunch. In the evening, we are so lucky that we will have our dinner at the Negresco. Then on the third day, we'll have a walk together. We will cross the old town of Nice, and we will watch the Collines du Château. And finally, on the very last day, there will be a visit in the Smart City Innovation Center of IMRED for those that are registered. It's a limited amount of seats. So today it's about France, Innovate with France. So we are going to talk about Europe, France, and also our region during the next 2 hours. So here is the program. We'll have Mrs. Agnès Rampal, Deputy Mayor of Nice and Vice President of Métropole Nice Côte d'Azur, that's going to give an opening address on behalf of the Mayor of Nice. Then we will have Mrs. Nadine Tournois, Professor Emeritus, ex-Dean of the IAE Nice Graduate School of Business and Vice President for University Côte d'Azur, who will also give some welcoming words. Then we will have Jean-Pierre Blanc, CEO of Malongo, that will provide a testimony, a very interesting testimony of an industrial player specialized in fair trade. Then we will have the Chamber of Commerce of Nice Côte d'Azur, represented by Mr. Ludovic Assot, that will explain how they support the territory's energy transition. And Ludovic will also introduce some pitches from local SMEs. Then we will go at the European level. We will have 2 representatives of the European Commission, DG Energy, that will intervene, but unfortunately this will be online. Then we will have Mr. Dourlens-Quaranta, Deputy Director for Housing, Urban Development and Landscape at the French Ministry for Ecological Transition, and he's going to talk about building in France. And finally, we will have Cap Énergie, Raphaël Rinaldi, Director for Europe and International Activities, that will present what this cluster is doing to advance the transition to net zero. And again, we will have some pitches from 4 local SMEs. And then an info day organized with the European Commission and the National Contact Point for Horizon Europe that will explain the next funding opportunities from the European Union for sustainable cities and energy systems. And finally, last but not least, we'll have our cocktail during 1 hour to make the most of being together today. Mrs. Rampal?
Hello. Unfortunately, my English is not good, so I will speak in French and I will be translated by a good speaker English. J'ai beaucoup de plaisir de représenter cet après-midi Christian Estrosi, maire de Nice, pour l'inauguration de la 10e édition internationale de Sustainable Places 2022.
On behalf of Christian Estrosi, Mayor of Nice, whom I'm representing this afternoon, I would like to thank you for your invitation to participate the opening of the 10th International Sustainable Places 2022 conference.
Nous sommes heureux de vous accueillir ici, à Nice, au Centre universitaire méditerranéen.
We are pleased to welcome you in Nice at the Centre universitaire méditerranéen.
Pour Christian Estrosi, maire de Nice, président de la métropole Nice Côte d'Azur, ce moment dédié à la diffusion de la recherche, au regroupement de projets, à la mise en réseau entre les différentes parties prenantes est un moment important et il regrette de ne pas être parmi nous cet après-midi.
On behalf of the Mayor and President of the Metropolis of Nice, Christian Estrosi, I would like to stress the importance of this moment dedicated to the dissemination of research, projects benchmark, and networking amongst a wide range of stakeholders.
Christian Estrosi, visionnaire, avait bien compris que la nature est le meilleur capteur de gaz carbonique et qu'elle est aussi une climatisation naturelle. C'est pourquoi, dans la continuité de la première coulée verte lancée en 2008, la promenade du Paillon sera prolongée sur 8 hectares pour offrir en tout 20 hectares de sol perméable en cœur de ville, ce qui représente au total près de 1 km en cœur de ville et permettra un gain de carbone de 1740 tonnes de CO2 chaque année.
Christian Estrosi, a visionary, had already understood this. Nature is the best collector of CO2. It is also a natural air conditioning. This is why, in the continuity of the first green corridor, the Promenade du Paillon will be extended by over 8 hectares to offer a total of 20 hectares of permeable soil in the earth of the city. That is nearly a kilometer from Bourgada to the latter de Tassigny.
De plus, nous travaillons sur les énergies locales avec la création d'un schéma directeur des énergies, le SDEM, le développement de réseaux thermiques dans les quartiers denses et le photovoltaïque sur les grands toits plats des commerces et des industries.
In parallel, under the impetus of Christian Estrosi, we are also working on local energy, in particular with the drawing up of an energy master plan, SDEM, the development of thermal networks in the dense neighborhoods, and photovoltaics, particularly on large flat commercial and industrial roofs.
Aujourd'hui, l'ensemble des acteurs de notre territoire ont pris conscience de l'importance de ces sujets grâce à une politique écologiste volontariste, à une volonté de sobriété et d'éco-gestes qui deviennent vraiment des réflexes pour nos administrés et nos entreprises.
All the actors on our territory have become aware of the importance of these subjects. These changes are the result of voluntarist ecological policy. Sobriety and eco-gestures are becoming reflexes for our citizens and our companies, which is very encouraging.
Par notre politique, nous avons voulu créer le changement dans les choix quotidiens, notamment sur la mobilité, que ce soit avec le tram, le vélo et la marche de nos administrés.
Actions are better than words, and we have wished through our public policies to create changes in the small daily choices relating to the mobility of our citizens in terms of tram, bicycle and walking.
Ainsi, depuis 2010, nous avons lancé plusieurs actions majeures. Nous renouvelons l'ensemble du parc des véhicules des services de la métropole en véhicules propres. Sur 1500 véhicules actuellement, nous en avons 30% d'électriques. Nous avons également 200 vélos à assistance électrique et 38 véhicules électriques partagés entre les différents fonctionnaires.
We are renewing our entire fleet. 30% of metropolitan service vehicles are now electric. We have 36 electric share cars, and we have also renewed the bus fleet, and since 2019, we purchased decarbonized bus.
Absolument. Le parc des bus est décarboné. Aujourd'hui, nous avons 215 bus. La moitié roule soit à l'électrique, soit au gaz. Et l'ensemble des bus à terme seront ainsi décarbonés.
Half of buses are now being decarbonized. We purchased 2025 to have an entire decarbonized fleet.
Alors bien sûr, le tramway, les lignes de tramway ont été développées. La ligne 2 entre l'aéroport et le port, la ligne 3 qui va jusqu'à Nicaïa, le grand stade, et l'ensemble de tous ces aménagements fait qu'aujourd'hui, nous avons moins 20 000 véhicules jour sur la promenade des Anglais, ce qui est colossal.
We put into service 2 new tramway lines, L2, L3, hence 75% of trips are clean and 2,000 fewer vehicles drive along the promenade des Anglais.
Parallèlement, bien sûr, nous avons créé un réseau d'infrastructures de recharge pour notre propre flotte, mais aussi pour les riverains qui ont des véhicules électriques. Aujourd'hui, nous avons 305 bornes installées, avec depuis 2019 des bornes à recharge accélérée. L'objectif étant de 600 bornes en 2026, avec un coût annuel de 1 million d'euros, et qui économise à terme, qui va nous permettre d'économiser à terme 91 tonnes de CO2 chaque année.
In addition, we have created a network of charging infrastructures, 305 charging stations on our territory, and since 2019, accelerated charging stations, with a target of 600 charging stations in 2026. We are investing $1 million per year. 91 tons of CO2 are saved over 1 year.
Nous avons créé un soutien pour l'achat de véhicules électriques, que ce soit les vélos à assistance électrique, 5000 dossiers depuis 2011 pour 1 million d'euros, et pour des véhicules neufs 100% électriques, quelques dizaines de dossiers depuis 2017. Nous facilitons aussi l'arrivée de nouveaux opérateurs de mobilité pour mise à disposition de véhicules électriques dans toute la ville. Ainsi, avec Renault Mobilité, nous avons 55 véhicules Zoé qui sont proposés et qui engendrent 10 000 locations par an. Et depuis 2017, Cityscoop qui propose 500 scooters électriques dans la ville.
We offer financial support for the acquisition of electric vehicles. Electrically assisted bicycle aid of 25% of the acquisition price, capped on €2,000. 5,000 files subsidized for $1 million. New 100% electric vehicles since 2017. Aid of €2,000. We have facilitated the establishment of new mobility operators. The NCR Metropolis saw the establishment of Renault Mobility, the first labeled operator on our territory, via 57 Zoe vehicles on 50 charging stations, which to date represent over 2,000 members and 10,000 rentals per year. Since 2017, Cityscoot has also been present in Nice via 500 free-floating electric scooters. The development of this clean mode of transport has resulted 1,500 users and nearly 500 scooters rented every day.
Enfin, 703 millions sont inscrits dans le plan de relance en faveur de multiples initiatives éco-responsables dans de nombreux domaines.
To conclude, 703 million euros have been earmarked in the framework of our recovery plan in favor of soft mobility.
Aujourd'hui, l'intelligence artificielle va nous aider à être plus efficients sur l'écologie. Elle doit nous permettre de mieux orienter nos choix pour l'environnement. C'est pourquoi Christian Estrosi a souhaité, dans la continuité de la stratégie portée depuis 2008, faire de la ville de Nice une des villes pionnières mondiales concernant la Smart City.
Artificial intelligence is one of the tools that must help us to be more efficient in the field of ecology. It must allow us to better guide our choices towards the environment. This is why Christian Estrosi has wanted to make the city of Nice one of the world's pioneering smart cities in order to achieve this objective.
Alors, pour réaliser cet objectif, à l'horizon 2030, ce sont 4 milliards d'investissements publics qui sont prévus par la ville, la métropole et l'ensemble de nos régies, dont 18 grands projets structurants à fort impact économique. Et ces grands projets initiés par la collectivité sur la durée du mandat permettront de créer 25 000 emplois et encore davantage jusqu'en 2030. Nous espérons bien jusqu'à 40 000.
By 2030, 4 billion of public investment planned by the city, the metropolis and their agencies, including 18 major structuring projects with a strong economic impact. These major projects, initiated by our public authority over the duration of the mandate, will create 25,000 jobs and even more by 2030. Up to 4,000.
Nice Smart City, c'est le résultat d'une stratégie qui associe une mutation industrielle, un soutien au milieu de la recherche et de l'enseignement et une volonté de diversification économique. Nous faisons le pari des nouvelles filières créatrices d'emplois, santé connectée, numérique, éco-industrie.
Nice Smart City is the result of a strategy of industrial change, support for research and education, and economic diversification based on new job-creating sectors, connected health, digital technology, and eco-industries.
Sur le territoire, nous avons lancé plusieurs expérimentations, 1 million d'euros investis dans des appels à projets innovants depuis 2019, sur des thématiques stratégiques, notamment la green tech, l'économie bleue et l'intelligence artificielle.
On the territory, we have launched several pilot projects for more than 1 million invested in calls for innovative projects since 2019 on strategic fields, green tech, cultural and creative industries, naturalness and well-being, blue economy, sustainable tourism, artificial intelligence and health.
Alors bien sûr, nous apportons un fort soutien à l'innovation. Depuis 2008, la pépinière d'entreprise CEEI Nice Côte d'Azur a fait émerger près de 170 startups et plus de 1200 emplois. Certaines sont devenues des leaders mondiaux dans leur domaine, Vulog, MyCoach, Quant, Advansolor.
Via heavy support for innovation, as early as 2008, the Nice Côte d'Azur Business Incubator, the CEEI, was set up. This has led to the emergence of nearly 170 startups and more than 1,200 jobs. Some have become world leaders in their fields, Vulog, MyCoach, Quant, Advansolor.
Et ce soutien prend la forme d'une exonération de fiscalité locale en tant que jeune entreprise innovante.
To encourage them, they have benefited from an exemption from local taxation as young innovative companies.
Nous avons également accueilli de grandes écoles du numérique pour faciliter l'émergence d'un écosystème de l'innovation tel que 42, Simplon, Centrale, Le Wagon et Isard.
We also welcome top digital universities, the renowned French Grandes Écoles, to facilitate the emergence of an innovation ecosystem, such as 42, Simplon, Central, Le Wagon, and ISA.
Alors, le bilan de cette stratégie, c'est la création de centaines d'entreprises par an, précisément 13 703 entreprises sur le territoire, soit 39,6% d'entreprises en plus depuis 2011.
The result of this strategy is 100 of business creation per year, precisely 13,703 businesses in the territory, around 40% more business since 2011.
Cette stratégie a donc porté ses fruits. Nice est classée 13e Smart City mondiale par le cabinet américain Juniper Research. C'est la seule ville française du classement.
And our strategy is bearing fruit. Nice ranked 13th smart city worldwide by the American firm Juniper Research, only French city in the ranking.
Alors continuons ensemble à nous améliorer et à apprendre les uns des autres. Au nom de Christian Estrosi, maire de Nice et président de la métropole et de notre majorité municipale, je vous dis bonne conférence à vous tous. Merci.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Rampal, for this very interesting introduction, and thanks for the translation. So we are very proud indeed to be here in Nice, not only because it is one of the smartest cities in the world, but also because it is the city who hosted the very first edition of the conference Sustainable Places 10 years ago. So it's really a pleasure to be here for us. I'm now giving the floor to the next speaker. So Mrs. Nadine Tournois, representing the university. So you can do.
Ok. Je pose là.
Oui, vous pouvez le poser et vous passez en appuyant sur le bouton.
Là-dessus. Ok.
Et vous avez...
Okay. Well, welcome. Welcome to the University of Nice and to the IE within 2 days. Well, I don't speak pretty good English, but I have decided to try to speak to you in English anyway. Well, I'm sure you will be nice with me. Okay, so, well, first of all, maybe a few words about the University Côte d'Azur. Well, there was a PowerPoint. I don't know who, it's me? Yeah. So the University Côte d'Azur has emerged a few years ago. But, well, when I say a few years ago, it means that it's 2 years old. Of course, it existed since a very long time. In fact, in the 16th century, there was a College of Medicine and the College of Law, but it wasn't a university. By 1960, a university emerged. It was the University of Nice. Then it became the University Nice Sophie Antipolis because of the Technopole, of course. And finally, 2 years ago, the University Côte d'Azur was created. What is the main difference? The main difference consists in the fact that you have basically, of course, the University Nice Sophie Antipolis, the very basis of the Université Côte d'Azur, but some other schools joined the group, such as business schools, School of Arts, schools of, what else? Dancing, school of video, and so on and so on and so on. And so today we are in front of the University Côte d'Azur. So what are the main characteristics of this university? First of all, it has been labelized as an IDEX. What is IDEX? It's very French, you know. Initiative d'excellence. What does it mean? It means that the research project and all the teaching projects that have to be tightly linked to the research fields have been recognized by the state the French state, I mean by the government, as among the 9 best in France. So that is a special label. With this label, of course, you have plenty of financing that do arrive to your university. I must say also that it's a very international university because we do have in a year at least 20% students coming from really all over the world. And that exists since maybe 20 years. We are always either the first or the second universities in terms of internationalization. And then the third point, Elyseus, what does it mean? It's a European program, a group of universities that created some specific programs and that are supposed to innovate a lot. And we are member also of Elyseus. So you see, I can say that today the University Côte d'Azur is a good university that corresponds basically to Nice and around Nice. There are something like 35,000 students and 28 schools and graduate schools. I said it's in Nice and around Nice, 12 campuses. Within these 12 campuses, you have 560 different programs, undergraduate, graduate, and research programs, okay? 102,000 faculty and 50 research laboratories. What I would like to add is that within all these programs, you have some specific programs that are entirely devoted to sustainability. There are some that do concern smart cities, some do concerns water management, some concerns environment and management of environment, management of water, also land use planning and sustainability. And of course, plenty of these research fields are developed together thanks to Mr. Estrosi and Agnès Rampal, who has been in charge of this program for a very long time and who helped a lot the emergence of all these great fields of development, okay? And also, of course, the renewable energies and so on. So you have some programs that are entirely devoted to that. And also, of course, at the same time, you have some laboratories that are devoted to the same topics and that do work with the city and with the mayor. So this was for the university. But within the university, there is one school. Well, I must say that I allow myself to speak about the university and the IE because I am retired since 4 days. So I think that I do know the topic a little bit still. Well, within, what is the IE? First of all, what does it mean, IE? It's impossible to pronounce it in English. It's Institut for I, d'administration. That could be management, in fact. Basically, here it's management, administration. E, entreprise, IE. It is the graduate school of management of the university. Within these schools, you have 16 different masters. The point is that in all the master's degrees, you have some courses that concerns, I would say, first, ethics. And Jean-Pierre Blanc, who is member of our board and also very active at the IE, very often I've given some conferences to the students concerning, of course, fair trade, basically fair trade. Okay, so ethics, fair trade, sustainability, and so on. All these degrees are ranked in the top French, and 6 of them are entirely taught in English. Behind all of that, there is one laboratory that is focusing in different fields of sustainability. Maybe there are two most famous for the laboratory. One is sustainable finance, with someone who has been ranked as the best faculty by Stanford University, the second one worldwide by Stanford University on the topic, and the other one concerns fair trade. We are rather small, 1,500 students, but one of our main characteristics is the degree of internationalization. 42% of students coming from 66, 68, 62, it depends, different nationalities. And the point is that, in fact, of course, you can teach the students about international management, and there are some things you must teach them. You can teach them cross-cultural management, of course, but when you have groups of students where you find around the same table for all the teamwork they do have, an American one with a Lebanese one, and a French one, and a Japanese one, and an Arabian one, and I don't know, a Swedish or whatever, Russian, Ukrainian, and so on. By the end of the 2 years program of the degree, they know what is cross-cultural management. They know that they can work and they will have to work with all the cultures coming from all over the world, that no one is silly, that no one is more intelligent than the others. It's just a problem of understanding each other and to be able to adapt. So I think I considered that it was part of my mission as a professor at the university to try to transmit some values through the creation of teams that are multicultural. Well, and we have adopted a strategy since a few years, maybe something like 8 years, I think, based on the impact. Our problem is the impact of the IAE. So, of course, the impact means has full of different meanings. First of all, the research. We do think that the research, mainly in management, has to be useful for the companies. It must mean something. You know, you have sometimes, I cannot say every day, but from time to time, I'm part of juries of defense in different PhDs, and okay, that's perfect. It's perfect. It's on a methodological point of view, nothing to say. But by the end, when you have finished to read the PhD, you say, and so what? Nothing. So the idea has been, and I do hope it will go on, research useful for companies, and so for a smart development. The second point is the impact on the economy. Of course, by the way, for example, through the incubator with the city, some of our students have created companies, and they have created jobs. Here you have some data that comes from our last audit from BSEI's Business School Impact Survey. Okay, it's a European organism, and for the 5 past years, you see that our students have created 40 companies abroad for 1,409 jobs created. That is to say that our students and the IE, by the way, the university, is a kind of promoter of the Côte d'Azur. And locally, there are something like 90 companies for 300 and 81 jobs created in Nice and around. So, well, not so bad for a small school. And the global impact of the IE on Nice area zone is around 13 million euros each year because of the different activities that are driven by the IE. Well, we are at the university, and you know or you don't know, but at the university programs are for nothing. They are free. They are for nothing. We have at the university, at the IE, even more than that, because we have 24% of our students that are fellows of the IE. They do have scholarships. And finally, the environment. Inspired by Jean-Pierre Blanc, well, we have been admitted by a group called Fair Trade School, and so we are labelized Fair Trade School. That is to say that our activities, our programs, our research, our goodies, our whatever you can imagine, are recognized as belonging to the fair trade business, let's say. Business with fair trade. Well, okay. Second point, we have been accepted by the PRME, that is to say Principles for Responsible Management Education. It's a group of 220 universities of schools all over the world. It's through the United Nations, and we are part of PRME since a few months. And finally, we are a civil member of Global Compact from the United Nations also. So, by the way, when I finished to prepare my small presentation, I said, well, but in fact, I have a question. Don't you think that maybe we have been created just for hosting and welcoming sustainable places 2022? That is my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and the answer is yes to your question. Okay, so let's move to the next speaker, since for sustainable cities and sustainable places, of course, we need committed municipalities, we need universities active in education and research, but we also need industry. And for this, we are going to have the testimony of Jean-Pierre Blanc, CEO of Malongo, and it will be in French and kindly translated by Céline here.
Thank you very much. Merci Nadine pour ton invitation, Madame Rampal. Mesdames, Messieurs, excuse me, I don't speak fluent English, and this is traduction. OK. Voilà, donc je vais ici vous parler d'un témoignage d'une entreprise niçoise qui a été créée en 1934, qui a 400 salariés et qui s'est engagée il y a 30 ans déjà dans le commerce équitable, l'agriculture biologique et tout ce qui est autour de l'environnement.
Okay, so I'm translating ad hoc, so please bear with me. Okay, so this is a testimony of a business from Nice. It has been in fair trade and sustainability for 30 years. And this business has 400 employees.
Voilà. Et nous sommes aujourd'hui leaders du café équitable et du café biologique. Et c'est un peu la marque Malongo, qui est une marque atypique, engagée sur différents critères. Et je vais essayer de vous décrire à la fois notre stratégie basée d'une part sur la qualité des produits, d'autre part sur l'éthique, et ensuite sur l'innovation, c'est-à-dire c'est un ensemble global entre qualité, éthique et innovation.
I can't remember all of that.
C'est trop long?
Vous avez énormément parlé et effectivement, ça risque d'être un peu résumé. Okay, so Malongo is an atypical brand. This business is the leader in organic and fair trade coffee. And the commitment of that brand is part of Malongo's DNA. So they do have radical positions and strong opinions about it. So they are the leader in organic and fair trade coffees.
Voilà. Bien insister sur les trois critères, hein, la qualité, l'éthique et l'innovation.
So with three main important points, quality, fair trade, and what is the third? And ethics as well.
Good. Voilà, je vais passer à la suivante. Alors, tout commence par la qualité. La qualité, c'est une philosophie d'entreprise et on travaille depuis 30 ans sur des cafés issus de petits terroirs avec des cerises de café cueillies à la main.
So quality is actually part of the philosophy of Malongo's business, and they are working with small plantation and terroir coffee.
Nous travaillons sur, bien sûr, des torréfactions à l'ancienne. Notre entreprise est certifiée entreprise du patrimoine vivant. OK, bon, je continue, ça va. Et nous essayons de faire en sorte que tous les conditionnements de nos produits soient respectueux de l'environnement et soient vertueux.
Okay, so the way your coffees are packaged are respectful of the environment, and the roasting is actually made traditionally. Sorry.
Non, non, sorry.
And the picking is traditional as well, and the farming is slowly organized. Hand picking, for example. You can see it.
Voilà. C'est comme ça que dans toute la filière de la plantation à la tasse, nous avons commencé par travailler par l'organisation sociale avec le commerce équitable labellisé Fairtrade Max Havelaar.
So through the whole chain from the plantation to the coffee cup, they've been working with the Fairtrade label Max Havelaar.
C'est très important parce que ça confère un prix minimum garanti, quels que soient les cours du marché, et des primes de développement collectif pour permettre d'avoir un revenu suffisant.
So this guarantees that the coffee is fairly paid to the producers. So there's a minimum price guaranteed.
Nous travaillons aussi sur l'autonomie et la gouvernance démocratique de ces coopératives afin de fournir à la fois des cafés de qualité et à la fois de vivre dans un environnement responsable et durable.
So Malongo is also involved in development and actually improving the environmental and economical and social aspects of the producers. There's a commitment to quality as well.
Ce qui est important aussi de comprendre, c'est nos 30 ans d'engagement sur le bio et l'équitable. Également, cela fait partie aussi de la compensation carbone, puisque Aujourd'hui, on a un carbone neutre dans l'entreprise, grâce justement à nos actions en pays producteurs.
So this commitment has been lasting for 30 years and the company is carbon neutral.
Et nous avons déployé beaucoup de projets directement en Amérique centrale, en Afrique, en Asie, dont certains sont des exemples d'organisation à la fois économique et à la fois sociale et de qualité.
So some projects have been developed in many countries like Central America, Asia, and Africa, and those organizations are examples of development.
Là, je parle par exemple d'une coopérative qui est située au Laos, sur le plateau des Boloven, au sud du territoire du Laos, où en 10 ans, on a réussi à mettre en place une organisation qui fait vivre 1000 familles et qui a réussi maintenant, chaque année, à exporter plus de 50 containers de café.
So the example is about Laos, and there's a cooperative that is being helped to improve the lives of 1,000 families actually working, and I can't remember what you said.
50 containers.
Oh, and actually shipping 50 containers of coffee per year. C'est par an.
De la même façon, nous travaillons aussi avec les organisations internationales comme l'ONUDC, donc lutte contre la drogue et la criminalité, avec lequel nous avons travaillé sur des projets spécifiques, en Birmanie notamment, sur le remplacement du pavot au profit de cultures pérennes, qui est le café.
Okay, so Malago is also working with anti-drugs organization to replace poppy culture by coffee.
Oui, organisation avec l'UNODC sur des coopératives qui vraiment substituent les cultures, soit le pavot, soit la coca en Bolivie, mais qui remplacent vraiment des cultures qui détruisent à la fois l'environnement et à la fois les hommes et la population.
So replacing cultures that are actually not good for the environment, but also for the families farming them, like poppy or cocaine.
Tout cela rentre dans un schéma global de recherche à la fois de la qualité, mais à la fois aussi d'apporter de la vision aux producteurs sur une longue période.
So this is all about researching a quality, a commitment, and also the future for those producers.
Oui, pour l'environnement, le développement de l'agriculture biologique est un élément clé parce qu'il permet de faire une culture sous ombrage avec des plantations organisées qui absorbent énormément de CO2.
So organic farming is actually a very important part of this organization because it is without pesticides and it has to avoid non-natural products, and the beans are being grown in high altitude and in the shade.
Oui. Et notamment également pour l'environnement, l'exemple de la Birmanie que je vous citais, généralement le pavot, c'est des cultures qui sont sur brûlis, c'est-à-dire que ça détruit toute la partie, bien sûr, forêt, ça détruit des sols, et en plus, ça nécessite beaucoup d'engrais et de pesticides. Donc, supprimer tous ces...
An example is about Myanmar and the example of poppy farming that is actually destroying the soil. And also the families, we mentioned that earlier, and using a lot of fertilizers.
Nous essayons, dans la même philosophie, d'apporter à la fois de la technologie sur le pays producteur et de rassurer le consommateur. Et nous avons créé la première blockchain de traçabilité qui permet à un consommateur de savoir dans quel village le café qu'il consomme a été cultivé.
So they are the first brand to actually create a blockchain traceability, allowing the consumer to know in which village the coffee has been produced.
Nous avons besoin à la fois, à partir de la qualité, de pouvoir indiquer le village, l'altitude, le nombre de producteurs et aussi la date de la récolte, de la cueillette et quand est-ce que ce café-là est parti à destination du consommateur.
So for this guarantee of quality, Malago is able to actually trace the village where the beans have been harvested, where they have been picked, and when they have been picked as well, and when they have been harvested.
Et puis, comme le café se boit, il faut bien assurer la dernière chaîne de production, c'est-à-dire la préparation du café. Et dans le même esprit d'économie circulaire et d'économie de transport, nous avons décidé de rapatrier toute la production de machines à café que nous faisions auparavant en Chine, en France.
So as coffee is something that you usually drink, the production of machines has been taken from China back to France.
J'ai créé, à partir du 1er avril de cette année, une usine de 40 personnes située à La Roche-sur-Yon. Désolé, pas à Nice, mais c'est pour des raisons d'environnement, hein, d'économie circulaire, parce qu'il y a les fournisseurs sont autour.
Okay, from April 1st this year, so a new factory has been created. So it's in Vendée, as you can see on the slide, and it's La Roche-sur-Yon. And Mr. Blanc is sorry that it's not in Nice, but the producers are around the factory.
Fabriqué à des coûts équivalents à la Chine, c'est l'objectif, et également de s'inscrire dans une économie circulaire puisque notre machine est destinée à être garantie 5 ans.
So they hope that the cost is going to be similar to the one in China. That's the main objective. And also it's going to be for the circular economy. The main point is that the machine is guaranteed for 5 years or 15,000 coffees.
Oui, et ces machines-là, donc, une fois qu'elles ont effectué leurs 15 000 cycles, elles sont réparées, rénovées dans un atelier qui est à la Gaude, à côté de Nice, et elles repartent dans un circuit secondaire.
So when those machines have actually been used 15,000 times, they are being fixed in a workshop and they are being sold for a second life. And the workshop is in La Gaude, near Nice, this time.
L'objectif étant évidemment de diminuer l'impact des intrants et de sortir d'une société de consommation où l'on jette et où on ne répare pas.
So the main goal is actually to repair, fix, and not buy something and throw it away.
Voilà. Alors, on a parlé aussi d'innovation. Et donc, grâce à M. Estrosi, Mme Rampal, Nice est vraiment à la pointe sur ces techniques. Et nous avons aussi essayé d'apporter des solutions sur un projet M2M, machine to machine, justement pour améliorer le service et diminuer également l'impact transport.
So there's a project that is being called M2M project, machine to machine, and it is aimed at reducing the. Could you please repeat? Oh, the transport impact, and it is a innovative project.
Cette technique M2M est à destination de nos clients ayant une machine à café professionnelle, donc avec bien sûr un boîtier de communication M2M, machine to machine, et une intelligence artificielle, puisqu'on va prendre un certain nombre de données au fil de l'eau, toutes les heures, toutes les 2 heures, et ensuite on va les analyser pour déterminer quand est-ce que nos équipes doivent intervenir.
So this M2M system is actually made for professional holders of coffee machines, and those coffee machines are actually checked, and the informations are transmitted automatically, so that we know when the machine is not working.
Donc, vous voyez par exemple les paramètres que nous, que nous recueillons avec des capteurs qu'on a installés sur les machines et qui sont relayés par, bien sûr, une puce téléphonique traditionnelle et qui sont ensuite collectés dans une grande base de données.
So these are the parameters of the machines, and these are transmitted via a chip, and the data is all collected into a huge database.
Juste pour vous donner un petit exemple, donc on rentre au cœur de la machine et on est à même de pouvoir à la fois faire des dépannages préventifs et des dépannages prédictifs, c'est-à-dire qu'on va prévoir la panne suivante.
So this is the inside of the machine, and all the data is actually able to prevent future bugs or breakage, and actually predict what is going to happen later within the machines.
Voilà, donc ce que je voulais vous dire aujourd'hui, c'est qu'il faut toujours allier la qualité des produits, la réflexion sur l'éthique et l'environnement, et être à la pointe de l'innovation si on veut progresser.
So the main points that Mr. Blanc would like you to remember is that you have to have quality, ethics, and be innovative within your business.
Merci à tous, merci pour la traduction.
Thank you.
Many thanks, Mr. Blanc, for this intervention and Céline for translation. So let's continue with industry and business. So now I welcome Ludovic Asso, Industry and Energy Team Leader for the Chamber of Commerce and Industry Nice Côte d'Azur. So he's going to explain how a business ecosystem supports a territory's energy transition, and he will introduce 4 SMEs that are going to pitch their innovative solutions. I'm sorry, because we are very behind schedule, so we are trying to accelerate and to catch up. Thank you.
Good afternoon. So my name is Ludovic Asso from the Chamber of Commerce of Nice. I'm leading the energy and industrial sector. And so I will talk to you about how Chamber of Commerce is managing energy sector for a couple of years now. So I propose to go back in time by the end of the year 2000, and particularly in 2008, where many serious blackouts occurred in the French Riviera. They were due to strong energy demand during the winter time for the winter time for the heating systems, and during the summertime for the cooling system, as you can see the date on the top of the slide. They were also due to the position of energy peninsula of the regions. Since the emergency line coming from Italy, you can see in green in the east side, there is a line coming from Italy, has been created for a couple of years only now. You can also see that only 10% of the local production is local energy consumption is produced in Alpes-Maritimes, whereas 50% of the consumption is produced in for the whole region PACA, mainly due to the nuclear plants we are located in Vallée du Rhône. So it was in 2008 that Chamber of Commerce decided to structure the energy sector in the region, which it has since been leading. In this illustration, we try to outline the action of the Chamber of Commerce over the last years. And we called the action of the Chamber of Commerce visionary in the first step, as we were the first institution to think about energy topics 15 years ago. Then we were a partner of the SMEs, helping them to engage their energy transition. We are helping around 100 SMEs each year have an energy council, which help SMEs to engage their transition. And then we call our action as exemplary, as we manage internal energy plant that I will show you later on. To give you an idea of the scale, we have around 300 establishments working on energy in the Alpes-Maritimes for 4,000 direct jobs. The weight of energy is about €1 billion a year, and the weight of energy in local GDP is 2.7%. As for the club energy, which gather all the energy actors, it has been created in 2020 following the merger of Close Smart Grid and two players groups. We have more than 100 members, among them companies, technicians, institutional actors, or students. We are organized around 4 strategic teams, which are energy efficiency, sustainable mobility, renewable energy, and hydrogen. I'll show you some of the achievement of the clubs. So we produce technical data sheets. We produce energy transition observatory, which is available online. We created a referential on the smart grid, which is called Smart Grid Ready, and we organize visits to exemplary sites. The next big meeting we are organizing, it's the Assises Azurènes de la Transition Énergétique, will take place next October the 11th in Grasse, and I invite you to participate to this meeting, to meet, exchange, get inspired, or share feedback on the energy transition. As to finish, I would like to talk about the internal approach of the Chamber of Commerce. We are subject to new regulatory requirements. There are some requirements like décret tertiaire or décret BAX, and we have launched an ambitious energy renovation plan in our historical headquarters of Cahors-Bassel, including an efficient agency, mobility, and renewable energy actions. As a main achievements, a solar plant in auto-consumption will be inaugurated on Thursday. And from this morning, 10:30, we are producing the installation has been powered. And from this morning, we are producing an auto-consuming energy from a solar plant, as we are, like I said, an historical site. So it's the first time in Nice and in the Alpes-Maritimes that in historical plant sites welcome solar plants. So when you will come to visit in the city center, if you want to go by pass through Chamber of Commerce, you're welcome. Finally, we included employees in the process through awareness campaign and the implementation of nudges. So you can see that we had a big campaign of communication in the building. And we designed a pedagogical path to welcome delegation of public and private project owner to show that an ambitious energy transition on historical heritage is possible. That's it. I did my best to speed up. Is that okay?
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Ludovic.
So, led by the emblematic Elodie Bondy, Calisteo is a specialist on energy demand measurement. The company has experienced very strong growth in recent times, particularly on the international markets. Thank you for welcoming Elodie Bondy.
Hello, so I am Elodie Bondy. I am the CEO of Qualistio. Qualistio is an innovative company created in Nice almost 10 years ago. And we have developed an innovative technology dedicated to energy efficiency in order to face global warming. And we propose a technology in order to help our customer to reduce their energy consumptions. So Qualistio was founded more than 10 years ago, and we have developed our technology in more than 35 countries right now, and in more than 500 projects, mainly in Europe, but also in China and in the US. We propose a unique solution based on an innovation. We have developed an innovative metering system. So we propose smart metering, data management, able to really understand in real time how the energy is consumed. And also we can predict the next consumption thanks to many factors, and we help our customers to reduce their energy consumptions. Our customers reduce their energy consumption between 10 to 15%, and right now, with the price of energy increasing, it's really, really important for our customer because we are working mainly in industries, and we know that French industry is facing a huge problem due to energy prices. So we help our customers to save energy. And what we want to propose, it's a really simple solution. So it's really easy to install, really fast to install. Thanks to our solution, the savings are made and the return on investment is less than 12 months. So it's really fast. And maybe next year it will be something like 6 months, thanks to energy price. Thank you.
So developing a unique, flexible photovoltaic membrane solution, SolarClose system is currently making headlines with its multiple industrial partnerships, including one signed with the manufacturer Renault Volvo Trucks. Thank you for welcoming William Bowdery.
Hello, everybody. So, SolarClose, the point of SolarClose, very visual, here is what we do. Pretty thin and flexible solar panel. So we manufacture tailor-made solar panels. Oh, it's not the right font, sorry. So we manufacture tailor-made solar panels. It's not in silicon, it's with CIGS, it's another technology. And the point is to use our solution where regular panels are not an option. It comes from the boating industry. We were the first one to implement solar panels within a boat sail. And then we created this specific product, the one I showed you. And sorry, this is not the right font, but what you can see here is that we are really close to what can be powered with a regular panel. We are really thin, less than 1 millimeter, and we can be of any shape, any size. That's the point of being tailor-made. About our key aspects, we have the best power ratio, ratio on the market. We are shock and shadow proof because we have specific aspect that you can even shoot at the panel and we continue to produce energy. We work with the French army. We are heat resistant, only 10% efficiency loss at 55, 60 degrees. We beta capture indirect and some sun rays, which means that if it's a cloudy days or if the panel has some dust on it, it will still produce energy. And we don't have any cracks or micro cracks. The point is to be used on textile and trucks, as Ludovic said. So we can be on a truck, on a textile, with many movements like that. The panel won't have micro cracks. Here is an overview of our markets. So in agriculture, we can be on the top or inside greenhouses. We are on the trucks, truck trailers, on the top of canvas shelters. Outdoor activities, it's mainly on boats and anywhere on the boat. On light structure, light building that cannot handle regular panels, and research/army, many specific subjects. So here is a close-up on what we do on tents. As you can see, it can be glued, it can be welded on specific textile. Again, it's tailor-made, so it's adapted to our customers' needs. Regarding greenhouses, as I said, on the left you can see we are inside the greenhouse with a foldable system that unfolds when there is too much sun irradiation. Or we can be on the top of the greenhouse with specific stripe of panels that has again tailor-made according to how much shadow we want inside the greenhouse. It can also be a movable solution if we need a specific amount of shadow during the year. About the truck, you have a quick overview what we do. Our first solution is with Renault Volvo. We are on the top of the truck, but we also have solution that as on truck trailers. The point is to have a battery that is always loaded to start the truck, even for regular and electrical trucks. And the next steps is to say that so we have a lot of partners, and then we are proud to be sponsored by the French Ministry of Ecology. We have the Solar Plus label. We are other partners, and we are already working on the future of the solar cells in France on a new technology. So the cell will be manufactured in France, and within 3 to 5 years, we expect to have an efficiency close to 20 to 25%. So which is already in laboratory. We already reached 27%. So this is a realistic number. And that's it. Thank you very much.
So recent player in the energy sector, Sun & Go is a specialist in the mix of photovoltaic production associated with mobility solution. Sun & Go carry out the photovoltaic installation of the Chamber of Commerce Consular Place. Please welcome Olivier Béchu.
At Sun & Go, our goal is to remove the oil in the car tanks and replace it with carbon-free electricity. And even better, if the electricity is renewable and produced locally. We build photovoltaic power plants and charging stations for electric vehicles and for company and communities, institutions. To make it easier to take action, we offer turnkey projects, administrative procedure, building and maintaining. I want to help business leaders to make the energy transition and their company to prepare for the future. Our main offer, photovoltaic plus charging stations, plus monitoring to synchronize production and consumption. The vehicles are present on the park lot during the day. The sun shines and produces electricity. If we don't monitor, all the vehicles will charge at 8 or 9 a.m. when they arrive at the company. So there will be a high demand of electrical power, and then around 10 or 11 a.m., there will be no need to charge, as the sun will shine more and more brightly and produce more. If we monitor, we will shift the charge of the vehicles and we will charge at the level of the solar production capacity. At the end of the day, all vehicles are charged with solar electricity. Advantage, little impact on the electrical network. When there are no vehicles or their batteries are full, it is the company building that benefits from solar energy. Our main research and innovation is on the analysis of existing needs and future needs of customers to implement the right energy management. Thanks.
So headed by the iconic Fabienne Gastaud, president of the Club Énergie Côte d'Azur, which is a specialist in energy demand management. Key player in the Côte d'Azur energy ecosystem. Thank you for welcoming Cindy Umana Lopez.
Thank you, Ludovic. It's a pleasure for me to be here to present with a company who propose solutions for building technical and energy management. WIT is a French industry company who has more than 35 years of experience. We propose and develop solutions for control, secure, and remotely operate all kinds of equipment and facilities. And our experience allows us to help our clients from data collection to interpretation and restitution of all kinds of information. We are an independent manufacturer, and so we can guarantee the quality of our products and be your real partner in business and in technical solutions. We propose a global solution here in France and also internationally. Our expertise is based in three main aspects: our industrial know-how, our technological know-how, and our business know-how with more than 150,000 successful projects carried out. Thanks to this experience, we can face with our clients the energy management challenge today. The first one, it's environmental challenge. We need today to reduce energy consumption, but we need also reduce carbon footprint. We have today the new regulations like Décret tertiaire and Décret Bax, and we need to help also our clients to find solutions to funding their projects to renovate buildings. Our solution approach is guided by the rule of 4-8. The first one is data acquisition to benefit from a global perspective. The second one, analyze to make the best decisions, and the action to drive performance. And of course, anticipation to avoid all technical discussion. For me, it's a pleasure to present one of the best examples of energy transitions in building sector. It's La Friche La Belle de Mai. Sorry, it's a building located in Marseille. The challenge in this case was to propose a resilient solution to manage operating expenses and limited cost, to ensure continuity of service, avoid breakdowns, and also ensure occupant comfort and take action in real time. And at the same time, to involve occupants and encourage their efforts in energy efficiency. Today, our solutions are there to manage all the technical aspects of buildings, and we are very proud to be part of the second life of this building, and we hope we will be there for many other buildings. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Cindy, and thanks to Ludovic for introducing these pitches. So now from the local level to the European level, so I'm happy to welcome our speakers from the European Commission, so that are online. So the first speaker, Margot Pinault from DG Energy. Margot, we need to run a test with you for just a few seconds to make sure that all is fine. So we have first Margot Pinault, who is going to inform us about the last updates of the Energy Efficiency Directive. And then we will have Thibaut Roy, that will talk also about building policies at European level. So our apologies to our speakers from Brussels because we are super late, and I take this opportunity also to inform you that we are skipping the break. So we will have to be very patient and to wait for the cocktail at 5. Can I give the floor to Margot now? I hope that the test has worked. Hello, Margot.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you and see you. And we would like to see your slides. I assume you will share your screen.
Yes, indeed, I will. However, I hear some echo. Okay, I'm just trying to share my screen in this moment. Sorry, just a second, please.
No problem.
Do you see my slides?
Yes, we can see your slide, quite small. Yes, now it's good, full screen. Thank you, Margot. Go ahead.
Thank you, Sophie, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Margot Pinault. I work in the Energy Efficiency Unit, and together with Thibaut Roy, will present today energy efficiency legislation and the latest developments in energy efficiency policy. Actually, I thought that I will be speaking as second, and I think that Thibaut has some more overarching and, let's say, framework setting slides, but I will directly jump into the Energy Efficiency Directive revision. And then you will get a more overview on the policy developments from Thibaut. So the Energy Efficiency Directive revision was proposed as the part of Fit for 55 package in July 2021 by the Commission. This package, as probably Thibaut will explain, replies to the urgent need of increasing climate target for 2030, which will be increased to 55% of greenhouse gas emissions reduction. And for that reason, number of EU energy and climate legislation is being revised. and the Energy Efficiency Directive is part of it. And Energy Efficiency Directive, probably you know, it contains cross-sectoral provisions. But today I will give a specific focus on those related to buildings, as this is our main interest of our conference today. So this slide is showing the main elements of the revision proposal. So the Commission proposal was issued in July last year, and since then it's being discussed between the co-legislators, so the Council, the Parliament, and both co-legislators are already set on their positions, let's say. So the Council's positions was adopted in June last June, and now the Parliament will vote on their position next week in Strasbourg in the plenary session, and then we will go to the so-called trilogue stage. So the co-legislators will discuss the Parliament, the Council, and the Commission in the trilogue to agree on the final format of the new directive text. So what is important to highlight is that the revised directive proposes an increased target for 2030 for energy efficiency, expressed in both in primary energy consumption reduction and final energy consumption reduction. And this target in the initial proposal was 9% of reduction, and it was increased to 13% in June in the Repower EU communication, because in addition to the need of meeting higher climate target, we have a new challenge and struggle to phase out Russian fossil fuels. And for this, energy efficiency, of course, will also contribute a lot. And therefore, the Commission proposal to increase the target to 13% over the 2020 reference scenario. The 2020 reference scenario is assuming that all the policies that member states put in their plans, climate and energy national plans, will produce the effect in 2030, but the additional effort from this level is needed, and it is estimated at 13%. The next element that I would like to highlight is the energy efficiency principle, and a new article on it, which is putting into the practice of policy, planning, and investment decision this energy efficiency first principle. This is Article 3 of the Energy Efficiency Recast Directive. The third element is the increased level of annual energy savings obligation in the end use. So this is so-called Article 7 currently, but in the future EED recast, it will be Article 8, and the level is 1.5%. So just to exemplify, many member states implemented this measure as energy efficiency obligation scheme, white certificate scheme, or energy saving certificates like in France. So this is linked to that, and the target annual energy savings is 1.5% of final energy consumption per year. In addition, this article, Article 8 and Annex 5, will exclude the energy savings coming from the direct fossil fuel combustion technologies as of 2024. So if a member state designed, for example, a support scheme to replace old gas boilers by a new, more efficient gas boilers, this will not be eligible under Article 8, so under Energy Efficiency Obligation Scheme. That's the Commission proposal. Next element is about the exemplary role of the public sector, where there is a whole chapter dedicated to this with a new Article 5 and the obligation to reduce the energy consumption by 1.7% per year in the public sector overall. Article 6 on renovation obligation of public buildings at the level of 3% per year. And Article 7 on energy efficiency consideration in public procurement. And finally, the last element that I wanted to highlight in the revision is the new definition of efficient district heating and cooling that is progressively tightening and increasing the requirements on renewables and waste heat supply in the district heating from 2026 to 2050. And when heat or cold could be only supplied by renewables or waste heat. So that's in a nutshell what is in the EED recast proposal. Now, more in detail regarding the exemplary role of public sector and public buildings renovation. So, as I said, there are 3 main articles in this chapter. The overall target on public sector energy consumption reduction towards all the subsectors of public sector contribute, like public transport, water services, street lighting, and others. But of course, public buildings renovation with a target of 3% a year will strongly contribute to this overall target, as well as the public procurement in energy efficiency in public procurement under Article 7. The commitment of the public sector to renovate and improve the performance of its buildings is fundamental, because public buildings account for around 12% of the heated floor area in the EU. 12% is quite significant, so there is indeed big potential, but also, as already said, public sector plays this exemplary role. It contributes to the market development of energy efficiency services, markets, materials. So therefore, it is very important that the public sector drives this renovation wave. And for this, Article 6 indeed is requiring annual renovation of 3% of the useful floor area of public buildings which are above 250 square meters. And this is applicable to all public administration levels, which means not only central government buildings, but also local public administration and different type of public buildings. While the alternative approach is removed, so only renovation really counts for this target. And just to highlight once again that regarding public buildings renovation, we are not aiming at kind of shallow renovation, but really deep renovation, because this renovation has to be up to the level of nearly zero energy buildings as defined in the EPBD. So indeed 3% per year of the useful heated floor area to the level of NZ. And then regarding Article 7, which is kind of complementary, but is addressing the challenge from the public procurement perspective, here we have specific requirements on energy efficiency in public procurement. For example, for products, only those that are from the highest energy efficiency classes can be purchased. And for example, for buildings to purchase or to make new rental agreements, only buildings that comply with at least nearly zero energy level shall be procured or rented, except of historical buildings, or except of the cases when a building is purchased to be renovated or demolished. So that's all regarding public sector. And I think this is important to have a specific focus on this, because as said, there is a potential that the public sector will drive the renovation wave. Regarding other provisions, I already mentioned this new definition of efficient district heating and cooling. I will not go to the details, but you see on this slide that progressively we are increasing the minimum share of renewables and waste heat up to the level where all the district heating should be supplied by waste heat or renewables, with at least 60% of renewables in 2050. So that's the new definition. And maybe a few words about another article in the directive. It's a new article on energy services, replacing the current Article 18 and enlarging it and enhancing by new provisions. What is interesting maybe for you to know is that it encourages to extend the energy service and energy performance contracting towards new areas like joining energy efficiency with demand response and storage, like this, to have a more comprehensive package of energy performance services so the ESCO could develop such a business models that are more complete and not relying only on energy savings, but also combining these elements of flexibility or storage at the demand side. In this Article 27, there is also very much focus on public buildings, and for the large non-residential public buildings above 1,000 square meters, public bodies will have to assess feasibility of using energy performance contracting. So like this article is supporting the development of ESCO's business and energy performance contracting, as it is indeed a very good model for energy efficiency to be driven by the market and market actors. My last slide is really a panorama on the financing. On the one side, we have the investment needs, because you can imagine that all this transition and acceleration of the transition really requires a lot of funding. And it was already estimated that for the Fit for 55 package, so for this increased target for 2030, to achieve this energy efficiency increased target, around 150 billion euro of investments would be needed, annual investments, in addition to what is already happening. The REPowerEU and the new target of phasing out dependence on Russian fossil fuels even increase more this need of funding of additional 300 billion investments until 2030. And specifically for energy efficiency, heat pumps and solar rooftop, this would cost 56 billion additional annual investments. So, no, sorry, it's not annual, 56 billion, I think, to 2030. So, but the needs are huge, and the resources on the European Union budget side are also unprecedented, because in total the new MFF and the next generation EU funds, so the recovery funds, they total to 1.8 trillion euro, and this is really unprecedented level of EU funding on the market. 30% of those are earmarked to the climate goals, to the Green Deal. While there is no specific earmarking for energy efficiency, we estimate that around 150 billion would be dedicated to energy efficiency investments and measures from this EU funding. As regards the funding landscape, you know, the logic of EU funding is to trigger private investments. It can be done by direct co-financing, which can happen through cohesion policy funds or recovery funds or the Just Transition Fund. And here, this is co-financing direct investments on the ground. But there are also other means of stimulating investments, like reducing the risk through financial instruments under InvestEU, through advisory facilities like ELENA facility. And finally, we have all this market uptake and research technology development funding programs like Horizon Europe, which you very well know, and Life Clean Energy Transition. So these instruments are trying to develop the market side, the technology, and the market, and the market context for energy efficiency. Thank you very much. I hope that this is useful, and then I pass the floor to Thibault, I guess.
Thank you, Margot. So sorry for the technical difficulties. And now, indeed, we give the floor to Thibault. Many thanks for your patience. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And I'm trying to now share the slides. Okay, I think you can see the slides, right?
Yes, we can see your slides.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Margot and Sophie, and good afternoon to everyone. And thank you for welcoming me online as well. So I'm going to complement Margot's presentation on the EED, on the Energy Efficiency Directive, which she has focused on public buildings in particular and financing available. And I'll do that by presenting the Commission proposal on the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, so the EPBD. Before doing that, I will quickly take a step back and run you through the buildings renovation wave proposed by the Commission, also the Fit for 55 package as a set of encompassing legislative proposals. And finally, I will say a few words about the very recent Repower EU package and EU Safe Energy plans. So the renovation wave communication, which the Commission adopted in 2020, sets out some key objectives to be achieved in terms of decarbonization, tackling energy poverty and worst performing buildings, and as Margot mentioned, public buildings showing the way. And it includes an action plan, which as a core objective has to double the rate of renovation of the building stock so that we can achieve the minus 55% overall greenhouse gases emissions reduction by 2030. And it also recognizes the very important role that digital can play, as currently the efforts put into buildings information modeling, the Internet of Things, modular homes, or digital twins, to name a few, are still suboptimal. And therefore, it includes a proposal for a buildings renovation passport to be delivered for owners, homeowners, and among others, additional funding going through the EU funds, Horizon Europe in particular, to support digital tools. Now, the proposal for the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive is part, as you probably know already, of the Fit for 55 package. And as presented by Margot, it is really aiming at accelerating the rate of renovation together with other legislative initiatives, the Energy Efficiency Directive, but also the extension to buildings of the emission trading scheme, so the cap and trade market, let's say, mechanism, and also other initiatives such as the one on the Renewable Energy Directive recast and the effort sharing regulation. All those initiatives now are also overhauled, if I can say, and even more supported by the current context. You are aware probably that in May, in the context of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Commission adopted the Repower Plan to reduce our dependencies on Russian fossil fuels and gas in particular. And the goal for buildings specifically is to accelerate our demand reduction efforts and roll out even more renewables in our buildings. For that purpose, we have also adopted a self-standing communication called the EU Safe Energy Communication. And I also want to say a few words about the mid to long-term measures that we included in those plans, in those communications. Essentially, we are proposing a new article as part of the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, a new Article 9A on solar, which would make it compulsory to have solar-ready new buildings, and also asking member states to ensure the deployment of solar in new and existing commercial and public buildings, and also in new residential buildings, all of these by 2029. We are also advocating for a prioritization of heat pumps, double the rollout rate of heat pumps. And we are also inviting member states to reinforce the level of ambitions in the Fit for 55 proposals, so including the EPBD and the EED, which were adopted before this new context, which really emerged only a few months ago. So jumping now straight into the EPBD proposal, you may be aware that since the proposal from the Commission was adopted in December of last year, the Parliament, the European Parliament on one side, and the Council of the EU, so the member state on the other, have been examining the proposal, drafting, putting together their positions, and they will hopefully adopt their respective positions by the end of the year, so that they can then, together with the Commission, come together around the table and find a good compromise on the text, which can really reflect the best of the Commission proposal and of the Council and Parliament's thinking on this. This will be probably next year. And I want to quickly present 4 of the main proposals in the recast directive. The first, and you can see them in bold on the slides, is about the minimum energy performance standards, so MEPS. Second, about the energy performance certificates. Third, mainly for new buildings, about the zero emission buildings, using acronyms. And last that I want to present is the Smart Readiness Indicator, the SRI. To start with the EU MEPS, what we are proposing with the recast directive, and this is really at the core of the proposal for existing buildings, is to have a legal obligation for member states to phase out the worst performing buildings in their national building stock, starting with buildings of an energy performance class G, and then moving up to EPC F, and possibly based on specifically national programs, even higher in terms of ambitions. All of this with different deadlines depending on the type of building, whether they are commercial buildings, public buildings, or residential buildings, which may be a bit more difficult to really bring out of those lowest energy classes. Now on the zero emission buildings, this proposal would replace the nearly zero energy buildings metric, so the NZEB, which is currently applicable across the EU, and it is based on 2 main elements. The first is maximum energy consumption, so ceilings of energy consumption per type of building per climatic zones, which we have set out in a dedicated annex to take place from 2027 and 2030. And the second element of the proposal is for the energy consumption which is still needed for those ZEB buildings, that on a net annual basis, they will have to be covered 100% by on-site renewables, energy coming from renewable energy communities, or energy stemming from efficient district heating sources. Now, moving on to the energy performance certificates. This is really the common language underpinning a lot of the proposals in the recast. And the underlying logic is that the same letter system would be used across the EU with a scale from A to G, G being obviously the worst performing buildings in the national building stock. They would be, at the time the EPC is developed in the member state, the 15% worst performing buildings of the building stock. And EPC-A would be buildings which are zero emission. So Z buildings, which I just presented before. On top of that, and really to put some meat on the bone, let's say, as compulsory indicators, the energy and operational greenhouse gas emissions will have to be part of the EPC. And then member states will be allowed, will be encouraged to add to those compulsory elements or metrics from a list of indicators that we include also in the proposed annex. And finally, on the EPC, we are also trying to reinforce the provisions on national and the EU-wide database, on access to data, on the accessibility of data for depending on the type of stakeholders and the needs they have, obviously based on data protection rules. And these also aiming at bringing additional private capital into renovations to really support the renovation wave. And this brings me to the last slide about the Smart Readiness Indicator, or SRI. So we are currently developing this common EU framework for rating the smart readiness of our buildings. We have already adopted two, let's say, acts to operationalize the concept, but it's still under development. We are currently, or member states are currently testing it in cooperation with the Commission. And for more information on the tool, I would really refer you to the page that you can see on the right of the slide. The last thing I want to add on the Smart Readiness Indicator is that in the PBD proposal, we are asking, including a requirement for the SRI to be prepared for large non-residential buildings from 2026. And to do so, the Commission also will prepare an additional delegated act in accordance also with the wording in Annex 4 of the PBT proposal. On this, I will stop, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thibault. After this updates about the European landscape for energy efficiency policies and building policies, let's come back to France and welcome Emmanuel de Lanversin, Deputy Director for Housing, Urban Development and Landscape at the Ministry for Ecological Transition. And he will explain us what are the recent policies regarding buildings in France, and in particular, we are very proud that France is one of the pioneering countries testing the smart readiness indicators that has just been presented by Thibault. So we are going to hear a bit more about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm squeezing your break. Am I here? Yes, thank you. I have 10 slides. So my name, as you said, is Emmanuel de Lanversin, and I work for the Ministry of Ecological Transition. And you asked me to tell you about the way we build in France, and you asked, is it a revolution? So what the question for French? Probably you had in mind that all changes in France need to go through a revolution. So, well, we will see. Bit of a context. The building sector in France is 46% of national energy consumption. and 19% of the greenhouse gas emission. At the European level, there was ambitious objectives, as you just heard. And as part of the European framework, at the French level, we have various regulations that set forth our ambitions. To set up a toolbox for action in which we can find the national low carbon strategy, various laws influencing the construction sector. At the bottom right, you can see our last baby, the Climate and Resilience Law from August 2021. So I will go into details for 4 or 5 tools, starting with RE 2020, the environmental regulation for new buildings. It applies to new buildings and defines their energy and environmental performance. It is implemented gradually, starting 1st of January of this year and up to 2031. It integrates for the first time the calculation of a carbon footprint. It starts with residential, offices, and educational buildings, and the goal are to reduce energy consumption, to reduce the carbon impact in the building construction, and to ensure comfortable conditions during summertime, given the increase of heat waves, even in France. Assuming the rate of construction is 1% of the existing housing stock, about 9% of the stock would be at least at this performance in 2031. Another tool is the Éco-énergie tertiaire. Some other people mentioned it before. It is a regulation for the tertiary sector, public and private, to reduce the final energy consumption of the entire sector compared to 2010. So as it's written here, by 40% in 2030, then 50% in 40 and 60% in 50. So people have time. To each non-residential building, landlords and tenants, they have to take action in order to reduce the energy consumption, and they can adapt these objectives of consumption to take into account technical constraints and change of activity. They have to declare the annual consumption to the results obtained, and you can see the name Operate on the top right. It's a database where everybody has to put his data every September. Then comes the EPD. It's a label. It was designed as an information tool, for tenants and landlords. It's a quality label for the building performance from A to G according to their performance energy and GHG. So you can see here the design that evolved from the left part with 2 scales and the right part with only 1 scale. And it makes the landlord has to make it transparent for the tenant or the buyer, and for each relocation and sale, and it's mandatory since last summer. I'm sorry. So the Climate and Resilience Act from October 2021 decided to phase out of the rental market the most energy-intensive housing. So this is a very strong decision. In 2023, the rental and sales of G-rated buildings, in 28, the F, and in 24, the E. So it's a very strong decision that has a lot of consequences. So now I will present what we do about the SRI, because you asked me to go a bit into details, but it was already presented. So just to say that we implemented the test phase for this indicator right after the European Commission published the frame in July 22. And so we posted the SRI content online, and the test will start next month. The ministry is leading the experimentation with one of our operator named Cerema on a panel of 30 buildings. At the same time, the enrollment of professionals has started. We open it up to architects, design offices, diagnosticians, and other operators. The registration for professionals is online with a simple process and a validation from our administration. So certifiers are also interested and involved since the very beginning in developing this indicator. We will process the data collected for an assessment that should be posted on the second part of 2023. And we will also set up a workshop at the national and European level to share the process and results. It is important to us to get the best synergy possible with the EPD for the residential sector. Last but not least, zero net land artificialization might look as another topic, but actually it's very deeply connected to the construction revolution. Urban sprawling and the land artificialization is a major problem with a lot of consequences. Reduction of biodiversity, water management, transportation, CO2 production, social difficulties, and so on. About 20,000 hectares per year of natural, agricultural, or forest land are consumed each year in France, with a downward trend. All territories are concerned, mainly with low real estate pressure, and in particular, the sparsely populated peri-urban areas, nearly 50%. That's why the Climate and the Resilience Act set the goal of achieving zero net land consumption by 2050. That's nearly tomorrow. The reform is progressive and localized. Regional planning documents have to design the path to reach this goal before 2024. But there's no escape. Within 20 years, it will not be possible anymore to build the city out of the fields, out of the forests, out of natural spaces. This is a shock for municipalities. We have to learn how to build the city within the city, not just talk about it. It is a true revolution. As a conclusion, I'll put some graph here. You can see that GHG emission from the building industry are declining. This is for France. But the pace is too slow. On the right graph, you can see the difference between the business as usual trend and the low carbon objective. The additional investment that should be done to reach the right curve should be around 40 billion euro a year, some 10% of the industry turnover. We need money, we need engineers, we need workers, we need material. This is how it looks in square meters. You can see at the bottom, the green part, which is growing. This is what we should do if we want to reach the goal. The recent crisis, including the war in Ukraine, will actually help us to reach the goals. We are working on emergency plan savings for 10%, including an emergency plan for the winter in case of gas shortage. And the constraints, we change completely our way to design buildings, our way to design cities. Engineers take the power on the design. Creation, imagination, architecture is vanishing. This is This has already happened in the 19th century with the development of industry. As a result, emerged modern architecture and the Neues that's the image I'm from. That's probably where we are. Again, constraints, rules are not enough to make the city, to design buildings. We have to create a collective paradigm with artists, architects, engineers, philosophers. So yes, it's a true revolution. And a small word for the end. For this international audience, I would like to mention that through my ministry, we are preparing to launch and take the leadership along with Morocco and maybe Germany of a building breakthrough within the COP27 to mobilize a government and for decarbonization of the building sector. This approach is part of the Glasgow Breakthrough initiated in COP26 last year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's do another round of, let's say, presenting what is being done locally. So it's going to be Raphael Rinaldi, Director for Europe and International Activities at Cap Energy, that's going to present the activities of the cluster and to introduce 4 other active and innovative SMEs in the sector. Thank you, Raphael.
Thank you, Sophie. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Raphael Rinaldi from Cap Energies. It's okay. So first of all, who we are. So Cap Energies is a French competitiveness cluster. So a pôle de compétitivité in French. So the difference with the other clusters is that we are recognized by the government to deliver a certificate to the most promising projects. So to help our members to get funding, to get credit, and to get to join partnership like European Partnership Consortium. We are a small team, so 20 people based in Aix-en-Provence and Nice. But actually, this is a huge network because we have more than 530 members, especially in Region Sud, but also in other some areas of France. And so we support especially SMEs, small and medium enterprises, to connect with large companies, universities, and funding bodies, so municipalities who want to join and to develop collaborative projects together. So that's our ambition. So next, I will introduce some figures about the transition to net zero by 2050 and the link between these overarching goals and what we do with thanks to the members who are involved in innovation. So the net zero emission by 2050, what does it mean, by the way? It means that it doesn't mean that we do not produce CO2 emissions, but we go to a net zero contribution, so we absorb the small quantity of CO2 that we emitted before. Of course, this CO2 captured and stored, for example, is only a small part, and it should not be the only solution. So the first solution is to decrease the consumption of oil and to change the way we consume, the way we behave. So and all sectors need to be committed. If you go to in the different areas of energy, we think that the main pillars are related to the energy sectors, of course, but first of all, we need to change the way we use the energy. So first of all, we need to electrificate the energy sector. So for example, with the electric cars, so the development of the zero-emission mobility and the implementation of energy efficiency measures. So of course, this we saw before, thanks to the European Commission and the French policies, we help this to achieve those goals, but then we need the solutions that help to accelerate those ambitions. And the best way to do it is to first to change behaviors, and that's key. That's one of the objectives. Related to the networks, we don't talk a lot about the networks because we don't see them like wind farms or PV panels, but those assets are enablers of smart energy systems. So they enable the integration of large share of renewables, for example. So of course, about renewables, we need to increase the penetration of solar and wind, but also to develop bioenergy and low carbon technology. On the base ground, we also need to develop hydrogen sector and to exploit its flexibility and storage. If you look back 10 years ago, we see that there was already an increase in terms of investment especially in renewables, as you can see on the yellow figures. And this is completed by the electrification of transport. You can see in green especially. And only last year, we had a plus 27% of investment worldwide in the energy transition. So it is huge, but it is not sufficient if we want to achieve the 2030 and especially 2050 goals. So to reach the 2030 objectives, it is not a real problem in the sense that if we achieve to implement the strategies, so if we change the regulation and the policies to drive this transition, it is possible to reach the intermediate objective of 2030 with the large capacity addition in terms of solar and wind, electric car penetration, and the decrease of energy consumption. So the energy intensity, so energy efficiency measures. But then for 2050, what is important to clarify is that if you look at the figures, today almost 50% of the emissions reductions rely on technologies that are not commercially viable today. They are at prototype or demonstration stages. And that's key. So we need to foster innovation to develop clean energy technology that will help the transition to net zero emissions by 2050. How to do that? I will give some examples and then give the floor to exemplary SMEs that are here today that will introduce their own solutions that are currently under development. If we look, for example, for the evolution of battery sectors is a huge sector. Of course, existing technologies are relying on lithium-ion, for example, but this is mature, but it will be old within a few years. So we need to develop the next technologies, relying on less rare, or let's say, available materials and not rare raw material, with a higher energy density, for example, and higher security. So to get a higher security, we need to rely on for example, all solid batteries, which do not exist today and only in the stage of research area. Another example is the development of the new hydrogen electrolyzers. First of all, to decrease the cost of hydrogen production and to rely on higher energy efficiency systems, of course. So this is why today the energy needed to produce hydrogen is so high that it's not really reliable. You cannot have a return on investment if we only rely on the alkaline, for example. But now we are developing new technologies. I will not enter into all the details of that because we do not have time, but we have available to discuss afterwards. And the last one is related to an area where we do not, is not directly related to the energy, but more on climate, is the direct air carbon capture and storage. Of course, this need to be only a small part, but still it will be needed to decrease the emissions of CO2, especially after 2030. So there are already some plants that can reach the absorption of CO2 from the air directly. And large-scale demonstrators should help to decrease the cost to cap CO2 from the atmosphere. So those are only examples, but there are key innovations pillars. And what we do is to try to support our members to help them to develop such kind of technology. So now I will give the floor to the teachers. So first, Valda Stanley from EcoCO2 to introduce their solutions related to the change of the behavior changes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start by asking two questions. Who here knows roughly how much electricity is consumed in your organization each month? If I can have a show of hands, please. And who knows the most effective ways to reduce your organization's energy or electricity consumption? Again, a show of hands. A few people. This is one of the reasons why EcoCO2 is developing IoT solutions to help answer these questions. EcoCO2 was founded in 2009, and our mission is to accelerate the ecological transition by changing the behavior of individuals and organizations. We're a fast-growing company with significant growth over the past 3 to 4 years. And our three main activities are delivering awareness programs to schools and organizations, conducting a range of data-driven studies, and developing IoT solutions to help organizations manage their environmental impact. EcoCO2 has conducted 2 key studies on energy savings, which show that substantial energy savings can be made simply by displaying the electricity, temperature, and humidity data on a tablet, and the importance of providing personalized feedback and supporting behavioral change. Following these 2 studies, we developed UDWI, whose goal is to help small and medium-sized organizations understand and manage their energy consumption and the comfort level of their offices, and advises them on the most effective ways to change their habits. UDWI provides access to real-time data via web platform using this kit, which consists of a gateway and 2 sensors, one of which you attach directly to your electricity meter and the other you place in your office. Our support and personalized advice help organizations gain in competence, and our awareness programs and material help teams work towards a common CSR goal. We're currently beta testing UDWI with 20 organizations, and we plan to go to market next year. And our initial offer will focus on energy, electricity, gas, and hot water. And then we plan to develop a range of solutions to help manage your digital footprint, adopt a zero-waste approach, and consume more sustainably. So to conclude, technology and real-time data are important, but the best results in energy savings come from easy-to-understand data and personalized feedback, which help individuals and organizations understand the impact of their behavior on their energy consumption. We believe that by combining these elements, we can help accelerate the ecological transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Valda. Now, Philippe Gluzac will introduce solutions for energy monitoring and control from Grid Pocket.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Philippe Gluzac. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Grid Pocket. Grid Pocket is an editor of software. We develop software solutions in the cloud to enable energy efficiency. And the way we do this, we want to do energy efficiency efficiently. What do we mean by this? First of all, we have decided to work with the players who are at the heart of the energy systems, those who sell energy, those who deliver energy. And we have decided to work with those players who are utilities, resellers and distributors of electricity, gas, and other fluids. Now, the second aspect of being efficient in terms of the energy management is that thanks to work with these big players, we can leverage on the millions and millions of end users. So today our solution is being deployed by the utilities around Europe and increasingly around the world to millions of houses who can benefit of energy advice, of direct solutions for energy management, and AI analytics, which can give them information about how they use energy. Now, additionally to this, we have decided that we don't want people to deploy any additional hardware. We don't want any new investment. To be efficient, we will leverage on the existing infrastructure, on the smart meters for electricity, gas, water, and other devices that are already at home. And we make the best to use, through the AI algorithms, this data to have an impact on consumers. And when we say impact, it's not about just informing and expecting. It's about making a change, about engagement. And today we talk a lot for example, in France, the government is suggesting that maybe we should even pay people to be more efficient because it's so strategically important. This is what we have been doing at Grid-Pocket for several years now. We have developed solutions which enables utilities to pay people to reward consumers for energy efficiency. And in terms of the next steps, the systems we deploy are at the heart of the network, so they tend to integrate more and more advanced functionalities related to efficiency, but also to different fluids, electric car charging, smart buildings, and more. Right now, the big subject we work on is enabling the real-time functionalities that are hidden inside the smart meters that we have. And we work on the governmental program in France, which will enable certain groups of customers to have for free a real-time energy information at home starting this October. This is what we do at Grid-Pocket. We are based in Sophia Antipolis, just nearby, and we have an office also in Poland. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Philippe. The next one, Patrick Urpin from Makoto on the mobility sector and energy efficiency.
Thank you, Raphael. My English is not so good. English, said Churchill, English is the easiest language to speak badly. So that's my case, and forgive me for my bad English. What we have done, our firm name is Makoto. We are 50 persons, godmother and godfather, mostly engineers, 50% are engineers. And we work on ID, urban ID, a global ID. We say if vehicles are bees, we create hives and the intelligence of the system. In the hive, here it is, you have a hive on the left-hand side, and we want to propose a European project. We want to work with maybe some people who are there, because we must make a group. And these our hives, storage vehicles, 100 storage capture of energy, wind and solar energy, and storage the energy in the, I would say, in whole batteries, used batteries, and we make a mesh. We propose to realize a mesh, but at the beginning we design also solo hives for firms, because we want to work with the mobility with firms. So where is tuk-tuk? Sorry. Well, so the idea is a faster way I present this project, but it's a long way work because we have 12 patents deposit and we want it. And we want to, we save a lot of surface, square meters, because we arrange 100 electric vehicle. It could be the equivalent of, I would say, 450 cars, thermal cars, or maybe more. That depends. If we work with hospital, it could be more. So it's a brief advantage, fastly. I will go fastly because Sophie say I must go fast. So I try to go fast and I show you a thematic way, because if we have hives, we can make economy of square meters parking, very important. It could be 11,000 at minimum, and we can go to 20,000 if we work in a big hospital. I'll go to the end. We will propose of South region to work with, because it's very interesting, South region. We thought it is the best region in France to work with, because you have different level, and you know the link to have transportation is very difficult. That's an expensive way. So that's the reason why our hives do mobility, energy, data at the first floor, and we work with, we say, fresh aisle for cities, because we work with the Federation, and we have done 2 years research to work for fresh air in the city. That's all. And maybe something funny in French, maybe not in English. On ne prête qu'aux ruches. Voilà, j'ai fini. Merci.
Thank you, Patrick. Last one is Muriel Etivant from OGI, who will introduce the connected protection devices.
Merci. Hi. So you all have at your place an electrical switchboard that protects you against electrical hazards. This electrical switchboard has an enormous potential because it's located at the heart of your electrical network, and yet this potential is totally untapped because of a 50-year-old technology of mechanical circuit breakers. So we have reinvented the electrical switchboard, and the result is OGI, digital, connected, and eco-responsible. OGI will accurately measure the power consumption of each circuit in real time and act on it thanks to day, night, in, out, and tariff period routines, hence the energy savings. The touchscreen is much more modern and less impressive than the traditional circuit breakers. And thanks to the connectivity, we can control it remotely and be alerted in case of electrical fault. This connectivity opens the door to new services such as sub-metering, sub-monitoring, sub-invoicing, such as tailored analysis and alerts, or for an electrician, the ability to remote diagnose electrical events. Now, imagine the impact at the scale of a territory. OGI will interface with third parties to provide them with consumption data. Network operators will be able to optimize electrical flows. They will send, in case of when network is under pressure, they will send load shedding orders to low priority circuits in order to smooth consumption peaks or they can send also battery charging orders when green energy are available locally. Oggi is unique because it's the only digital, all-in-one solution you'll find. It integrates all necessary sensors using digital technology to cut the circuit instantly in case of an electrical fault. In regards of energy management, you could ask your electrician to add modules within your existing electrical switchboard in order to measure and control some specific circuit, but in the end, this requires substantial equipment and budget, and often an effort to change your consumption habits. While Oggi offers all energy management features natively on all the circuits and without effort, thanks to the full automation. So Oggi is a startup in development phase. We have proved the concept with a first prototype, and we are currently conducting safety tests on a digital tripping unit. We're looking for financial and industrial partners to scale up and go to market. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Muriel. Thanks, Raphaël, and thanks to all speakers. So we were supposed to have a short break, but as I said already, I'm sorry that we have to skip it, and we are going to accelerate a bit to make sure that we can all go to the cocktail more or less in time. So now I'm giving the floor to my colleague Régis Decombe, who is going to moderate this info day.